The history of England and the fictional world of Westeros, as depicted in George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire book series and its television adaptations, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, are marked by periods of intense political turmoil and civil war. Many of you who are familiar with the world of Ice and Fire might know that the War of the Five Kings, and that is the backdrop conflict for the Game of Thrones TV series, is based on the real-life War of the Roses. The War of the Roses was a series of civil wars fought over control of the English throne from 1455 to 1487. And it was fought between supporters of the House of Lancaster, which sounds quite similar to House Lannister in Game of Thrones, and the House of York, which was based in northern England and is quite obviously the main inspiration for House Stark, who ruled the north of Westeros in Game of Thrones. However, it is important to note that the House of Lancaster and House of York were actually cadet branches from one family, the House of Plantagenet, which had ruled England prior to the War of the Roses. Besides the War of the Roses, one of the most significant historical periods of upheaval in England was known as simply the Anarchy. The Anarchy was a civil war that took place about 300 years before the War of the Roses, from 1135 to 1153. Similar to the Anarchy in England, Westeros experienced a catastrophic civil war called the Dance of Dragons. Now, this was a conflict that just tore apart the ruling Targaryen dynasty and reshaped the Westerosi realm. And like how the Anarchy took place a few centuries before the War of the Roses, the Dance of Dragons took place a few centuries before the War of the Five Kings. Although these two conflicts occurred in vastly different contexts, one occurred in medieval England and the other in a fictional fantasy world with dragons and magic and giant ice walls, they do bear striking similarities in their causes, nature, and consequences. And it is quite obvious that George R.R. Martin based the Dance of Dragons on the Anarchy. Now, the Anarchy in England began with the death of King Henry I in 1135. Henry's only legitimate son, William Adelin, died in the White Ship disaster in 1120. This left Henry without a clear male heir. Henry attempted to secure the succession by having his barons swear an oath to accept his daughter, Empress Matilda, as his successor. However, upon Henry's death, his nephew, Stephen of Blois, seized the throne with the support of a significant faction of the nobility, leading to a protracted and brutal civil war. This conflict was characterized by shifting alliances, rampant lawlessness, and widespread devastation. Both Stephen and Matilda struggled to maintain control over their supporters and the territories they claimed. The war saw numerous sieges, battles, and betrayals, with the common folk, suffering greatly as the feudal order broke down. The Anarchy finally ended with the Treaty of Wallingford in 1153, which recognized Stephen as king, but named Matilda's son Henry as his heir, leading to the ascension of Henry II and the restoration of order. Now, in the Song of Ice and Fire, the Dance of Dragons, as depicted in the hit TV series House of the Dragon, is a similar tale of dynastic struggle and civil war. This conflict arose following the death of King Viserys I Targaryen, who had named his daughter with his first wife Rhaenyra as his heir. Like King Henry II did with his barons swearing oaths to accept Empress Matilda as his heir, Viserys did the same thing with the lords of Westeros. He had them all converge and come to King's Landing and accept Rhaenyra to be his heir. However, upon Viserys' death, a rival faction within the Targaryen family crowned Aegon II, Viserys' son with his second wife, Alicent Hightower, as king, leading to a bitter and bloody war of succession, the Dance of Dragons. Now, the Dance of Dragons saw the Targaryen family and their dragon riders divided into two factions. There was the Blacks, who supported Rhaenyra, and the Greens, who supported Aegon II. The war was marked by intense battles, dragon-on-dragon combat, and devastating losses on both sides. Like the Anarchy, the Dance of Dragons was a period of great instability and suffering for the realm, with the Targaryen dynasty's hold on power severely weakened. The war finally concluded with the deaths of both Aegon II and Rhaenyra, leading to the ascension of Rhaenyra's son, Aegon III, or also known as Aegon the Younger, and a long and gradual period of Targaryen decline. Both the Anarchy and the Dance of Dragons were triggered by contested successions, highlighting the fragility of hereditary monarchy and the perils of unclear lines of succession. In both cases, the deaths of kings, Henry II and Viserys I, precipitated power struggles that plunged their respective realms into chaos. The absence of a strong central authority allowed ambitious nobles and factions to vie for power, leading to widespread violence and instability. The nature of these conflicts also bears similarities. Both were marked by shifting alliances, betrayals, and brutal warfare that ravaged the land and its people. The common folk in both medieval England and Westeros bore the brunt of the suffering as their lords and rulers fought for supremacy. The breakdown of order during these periods led to lawlessness and misery, underscoring the human cost of dynastic wars. The consequences of these conflicts were profound. In England, the Anarchy weakened the monarchy and set the stage for the reforms of Henry II, who sought to restore royal authority and establish a more stable governance. In Westeros, the Dance of Dragons significantly weakened the Targaryen dynasty, leading to internal strife and eventual decline, paving the way for future conflicts and the eventual fall of the Targaryen regime. In conclusion, the Anarchy in England and the Dance of Dragons in Westeros are compelling examples of how contested successions and civil wars can lead to prolonged periods of chaos and suffering. While one is a historical event and the other a fictional narrative, both highlight the dangers of weak succession plans and the devastating impact of internal conflicts upon a realm. Through these stories, we gain insights into the nature of political power, the fragility of dynastic rule, and the enduring consequences of civil war. Now, thank you all so much for tuning in to a brand new special of Eclectic Explorations. Really appreciate all you guys. Stay tuned for more videos. Keep sharing, liking, subscribing, and I really appreciate you all.